Good morning, welcome to Headline Focus here, live on Core Politics with me, Rob Double. It is Friday the 6th of April 2018. Let's have a look at what's making the political headlines today. So to start off with, Russia and the nerve agent attack in Salisbury is still in the news. Now the key line from you're going to get today is "You'll be sorry." Now that Russia has accused the UK of inventing a fake story and playing with fire, telling British diplomats you'll be sorry over this whole incident. That's the Russian UN ambassador to the Security Council saying yesterday. Russia continues to deny responsibility for the nerve agent attack in Salisbury. The UK government has, of course, made it clear that they see Russia as totally culpable for the attack. And UK's UN representative Karen Pierce saying UK actions stand up to any scrutiny, suggesting that Moscow's demands to be part of an investigation into the attack was like an arsonist investigating their own fire. Now, why is Russia going on the attack? Or rather, why is Russia saying, fake news, UK is very much in the wrong? Well, according to Mark Linnell-Grant, who's Theresa May's former national security advisor, he gave an interview with BBC Newsnight last night, and he said this is a classic Russia pattern. When put under pressure, when put into a corner, they lash out. And so that's perhaps what we should see in the context of what Russia normally does in these situations, Russia's tactics in terms of when they come under attack. Yulia Skripal, however, some good news. She's now conscious and able to speak. News came out yesterday that she seems to be improving at the moment, and therefore perhaps some more lines will be coming out as she starts getting more responsive and starts perhaps being more vocal about what she thinks actually happened. Next up, London violence sparks protests. Now this really started, it's been a whole week-long thing, but this has really started to come to the political forefront from yesterday. And now six more people, including 5 more teenagers, were injured in stabbings in London yesterday. It follows a spate of violent crime which has happened in the near past, and against a backdrop of rising violence over turf wars between gangs in London. Now, it was recently announced that London's murder rate has actually overtaken New York's for 2018 as well. Now, London Mayor Sadiq Khan has criticised cuts to policing budgets as a reason why this could possibly be the case. Other people have said social problems and alienation, particularly by young members of communities. But the mayor himself has come under increased criticism, particularly from some of his own party, from the Labour MPs, David Lammy as well, for his perceived absence as a leader in what's seen now as a developing crisis to do with violent crime in London. This is a story which likely is not going away. There were some protests last night in Hackney, an area which has seen violent crime, calling for an end to the bloodshed and also for some of the community to start taking it upon themselves to do stuff like patrols and really try and fill the gap, perhaps, which policing has not been able to provide in the recent future, and to try and bring this violent crime back down. No doubt more lines on that as the political sphere wakes up in the next few hours. Sugar tax comes into force. This is the final story now. Tax on sugary soft drinks came into force at midnight, so this is the first proper day that it's here, adding to 18 to 24 pence per litre on products that exceed sugar limits. Now, sugar companies and soft drink companies, they're kind of savvy to this. They knew this was coming, and as a result, a lot of them have reduced the sugar content in a number of their drinks. The result of that is, of course, the amount which was raised as a result of this levy has actually reduced. It's not as much as the predictions were, because a number of companies have reduced the number of products which they need to be taxed on because they reduced the sugar content for this time when it was going to be implemented. So, as a result, levy is expected to raise about £240 million per year. That's less than half of what was originally predicted. However, politically, you can obviously claim, well, that's a good result because it shows the amount of products which have now reduced in sugar content, which will help in terms of reducing sugar intake by particularly young people, but also population-wide. And also the number of sugary drinks available to purchase has also reduced as well. Now, this was obviously George Osborne, the former Chancellor's big policy when he was Chancellor of the Exchequer. He gave an interview yesterday in which he said if he was Chancellor, he'd be turning his sights now to taxing high-sugar milkshakes. However, he did say he wasn't sure whether the government policy or government was going to continue down the route he was when he was Chancellor. Certainly, it's renowned that he and Theresa May do not perhaps get on particularly well, and similarly, the Chancellor, Philip Hammond, now hasn't perhaps been seeking that much advice from George Osborne in what the Chancellor wants to do now with his current policy. That's pretty much it for today, and indeed this week. You're up to date. Don't forget you can find all the latest on what we're doing here on Core Politics on our Facebook page and Twitter right here. But from me and all the team here at Core London, have a fantastic weekend. We'll see you.